Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue returning to narrate her fifth Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Welcome to the Marketing Club. More importantly, welcome to the Marketing Club's experience, because this is a place where we love to teach, we love to grow, we love to learn. It's a Saturday. I'm excited that you're here with me, and I want to make sure that you have the best experience while you're here today. So, I want to begin by being very specific with how today is going to go, because I would like to really break this down into different parts, because one of the major key questions I keep hearing about SEO is, how do I make money with SEO? And it's such a big question that requires a big answer. But at the same time, the answers in between will be where you will discover your exact answer or exact findings. Because SEO is a big term. It's a big word, just like AI right now is a big term, it's a big word. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing with those platforms. They don't know how they're building around those platforms. So I feel like there's a point at which there's growth and there's stagnation, because there's no balance or type of equilibrium between the two. So that's why I wanted to bring this discussion today to Clubhouse and see where people are, if they know the roadmap or if they have an understanding of it. But that's how I wanted to get started today. And welcome, Kendrick. Good to see you, man. Happy Saturday.
Good to see you too, man.
Good. I'd like to know more about your business, because you said you're a business owner and you're into aesthetics and just creating pages that do well for people online. So give me a quick breakdown of how website development is for you and how SEO comes into play.
Well, the website, you want to make sure, of course, that they're readable. You want to make sure that everything is positioned right, everything's in order, so it won't be any confusion when someone comes to visit your page. And as far as SEO, that's a broad area. There's a lot to do. You have on-page SEO, and then you have off-page SEO. And you want to make sure that you do your due diligence. Make sure you do your research on your competition. There's certain programs you can use to do that. But you want to make sure that you do your alt tabs. Do make sure your meta titles and your meta descriptions are in order. And it's just a lot of work, but it can be done. And it can help you get ranked on Google. I always like to be within the top 10 or the top 5. And if you hit 1, you really hit a good spot.
That is so true. I feel like that positioning is so important, because the way people see it is like number one is number one. It's really number one, but it's a variable, like you said. Because if I'm position 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, that means somewhere else I may be position 1, and somewhere else I may be position 2, and somewhere else I may be position 3. But because I'm within the scope of sight that someone can actually read it, it gives me a much better stand to outstand or outrank my competitors, because they may like what they're reading on number 1, but they may actually love what they're seeing on number 3 because you hit it home. And even though Google did not recognize it as a number 1, because you had something compelling to your audience, then that allowed you to get that click. And most times it's hard to decipher which is which because there are so many comparisons, and the more links and the more stress you get, the more complicated it can seem. And Kendrick, let me know if this is something that you see in your industry too, where you have a website and this website doesn't have any SEO applied, and a lot of clients want to get that SEO applied, but they're coming to it with the idea of the website developer will fix it. Where do you see that stand when you look at those two?
Yeah, like I said, it's a broad area. There are some sites where the SEO can be, I guess you can say, half done. And a lot of clients, even some of my clients I've had out, you a good thing to do too is to educate them on how it works. Because a lot of people, they think that once you do the SEO, you're going to rank, boom, that day. But in actuality, it takes about 3 to 6 months to see anything because there's so many competition. It's so saturated. But it takes a while. But you'll start seeing things show. You start seeing more phone calls. You start seeing more people calling and emailing you. And it works. It just takes a while. You have to be patient. It takes a lot of patience.
And I think that's the patience a lot of people don't want to pay attention to because they're looking for that quick fix. That's why most times I see a lot of business owners running to run ads. And yeah, they're going to run ads and they'll definitely work for them. But, my friend on the platform, Fitz, he's always saying things about ads and he puts it in such a great way. And he says, when you are paying for ads, you're paying for more attention. I'm paraphrasing. You're paying for more attention. And you getting someone's attention doesn't necessarily mean you've caught their attention. There's a difference. There's a thin line between those two. That's why you have in your metrics, you have impressions and you have reach. So you really ask yourself, okay, I have a lot of impressions and I have a lot of reach. The next question will now be, are you getting a lot of clicks? So the more you go down that funnel, the less the number of people are. And that's where you really want to be. You can't serve everybody. Your business is not meant for everybody, but your business for someone. So I had a phone call. Your business is definitely not for everybody, but your business is definitely for someone. And when you find that one person, that's why they call it an ideal client avatar, is because when you're creating an avatar, you're creating characteristics. There's some type of psychographical input. There's some sociographical type of input. There's some demographical type of input. And all these inputs are leading you to one output, which is what is the target audience looking for and how do they solve it? For me, I help businesses unlock untapped audiences online using search engines and social networks. And that can be broken down into so many different parts because I've realized that it's not just about running an ad. It's not just about ranking on Google. There's more to it. If you can build a community with what you have, then it makes the most sense. I'll give you a quick example. Imagine if you had a house, and I'm going to flip this a little bit differently because I've given this example before. But imagine if you had a house, or you're in a house and you're in your own house, right? And you know exactly where the door is. You know exactly where the door is, and you can reach and you can turn it and you'll walk out, right? Now, imagine if somebody comes to your house and they don't know where that door is. There are 3 doors, there are 4 doors, but they don't know which door leads to this room, right? All these doors look the same. They're all on the same engine. They're all on the same floor, but you can't figure out which door to open because each door is going to lead you to a different experience, right? So if I know where the door is and I'm always going through that door, it's second nature for me to tell you just go right and then take the first left and you're going to find it, right? Compared to me trying to figure out which door it is. Now, when you put that into your business and you ask yourself, if the person finds this door and they open this door, can this door remain open so that more people can come in when I refer them? Or do I have to close this door because I don't want anyone to experience what I've gone through? Now, that is totally dependent on you as a business owner, because the reason why a lot of people run away from SEO is not because it doesn't work, but most time it's because they don't see the value, quote unquote, just because they've not used it before or they've been burnt before. And when that happens, it kind of slows down the process, because now you're in a position where you're trying to really figure out, what can I do to keep this funnel going, because there's so many moving parts and so many things are happening at the same time and I can't keep up. Now, the reason why you may not be able to keep up is because you don't have somebody who is helping you through that process. And that's where, platforms and all these tools are great for. But guess what? You can have so many tools in your toolbox and you may never use that first tool because you never needed it. You needed the toolbox, but you didn't need that specific tool. So same thing with your website. You can run ads, you can build an email list, you can have all this amazing fun stuff. But if you can't process these 2 things, which is clarity and consistency, secondly, then you won't be able to navigate conveniently, because at some point you're going to hit a roadblock and you'll be like, oh, I went viral because of this one post, yet there was nothing you did or said in this post that brought that type of attention. The only reason why you probably had that attention was because in the season or in the moment, that was the best option to go with. But now that the season is out of season and you're no longer in season, then no one is using your seasoning for anything. So you're putting yourself in a position where you need to really ask yourself, what am I doing with my content and why am I even ranking in the first place? Like, yes, I'm ranking. Yes, I'm viral. Yes, I'm on the platform. But can I get something up there? And I'll give you guys a very good example of how this has happened for me and how I've done it for clients. And this is why I'm so confident it can happen for you too. And for those trying to, connect with me, please make sure before you leave the room, you follow me. And also, more importantly, make sure that you click the link above. You can get access to my calendar, my social networks. You can, join our community if you want to be hosted on my podcast show, and it's called We Don't Play. And we've had over 300 episodes. We're in season 6 right now. And we talk to a lot of business owners in over about 60 plus countries. So if you want to be part of that and you want to amplify your business, that's another place we can get started to talk. And all those links are available when you schedule our meeting on the first link. And then, stay connected if you want to just tune in to listen to what we do. We Don't Play. So when I'm giving you guys this example, think about it this way. I created an article in 2021, right? Let me just take it back a little bit. In 2021, on Clubhouse, I remember very well when this whole music mode came out and people wanted to use it, right, to play music, and they do right now. So many things have unpacked since then. I've been on Clubhouse since November 2020. So I can definitely say how much things have gone and what has been happening here on this app. So when I see the activity of me just being here consistently, especially knowing that a lot of people who used to be on the app are no longer on the app because they're no longer in hallways or they're no longer in rooms. I see sometimes they pop in and out, but there are a few people who stay connected and consistent, right? So I wrote an article, and this was early stages of Clubhouse, because I used to type in Clubhouse, what is Clubhouse? Clubhouse did not even have a website at that time. So I couldn't even go to clubhouse.com. They probably acquired the domain, but there was never a site that was live for me to visit. So I decided I'm going to write an article about what my experience on Clubhouse is and how you can play music on Clubhouse, because I have an entertainment business background. Self-taught drummer, into music, into podcasting, into business. So I decided, let me just do my own thing. So I created an article about Clubhouse, what Clubhouse is about. And if you ever type on Google how to play music on Clubhouse, right? Of course, you're going to get a lot of answers, especially now that Clubhouse has a website, right? You're going to see it there. But my article is still ranking on Google for that keyword. And I want to give you guys, I didn't even have to go to my website. I went to Google to get the link. So I'm about to put the link at the top so you guys can read this, just to give you context, because I like to support what I'm saying with context. If you look at that article and you open it, you'll see that article was last updated March 31st last year, and I published it May 28th, 2021. It's a 5-minute read. It's very, very quick. And if you want to also see how Clubhouse used to look like, if you weren't on Clubhouse then, I have some screenshots that allow you to see what Clubhouse used to look like as far as the UI. So I'm kind of like also giving you a way back machine, and also showing you people in the room that you may be listening to on Clubhouse today who used to be on the app, like my friends Rocky, Heather, Ray. There's so many of them that you will see on that link. And I connect with them, and I'm still friends with them, and we built relationships since then. My Twitter following was different. My Clubhouse following was different. My Instagram following was different. But I wasn't thinking about those numbers. I was really thinking about, how can I, years later, still be relevant and still be the person to go to if somebody wants to learn about Clubhouse? Because for me right now, if somebody clicks on that link, they're going to join Clubhouse. And a lot of people have joined Clubhouse just because of this one link. This link has grossed over, I think, 48,000 impressions. And the number just keeps going. Because I have seen that when you are focusing on the right thing and the right people, the right type of crowd you're looking for shows up. And it shows up in a way that you, honestly speaking, would not really, you won't even realize what's going on, because you're like, wow, I can't believe this happened. Because you took the time to really sit back and ask yourself, okay, 2 years from now, what am I going to be doing? And what am I going to be saying to support what I said 2 years ago? So this article, I wrote it and it ranked, right? And then I was like, okay, I got to start building content around this. And then I went into SEO, I went into Pinterest. I have a Pinterest course, I have an SEO course. And I realized, a lot of people are signing up for the course, but not everybody is finishing the course. So I had to ask myself, I'm not going to make you spend money or put you in a position where you're going to spend money and waste time at the same time, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that you have the best experience and use it for your business. So I did it for myself, and I started doing it for other people. And long story short, right now, there's an article that is ranking on Google. And I wrote this article literally a month ago. April 6th this year, I wrote an article Wow. Okay, you guys, I just literally typed in SEO versus CRO in incognito mode, and my article is now ranking second. Right now, if you guys type in SEO versus CRO, you will see the article there, The Battle for Business Growth. And I wrote that article April 6th. When I looked at this article a couple of days ago, it was like at the bottom of the first page. And now it's ranking on the first page of Google right under People Also Ask. And it might be different for you, but you'll definitely see it on the first page somewhere. And I'm changing the link so you guys can match it up. So why am I giving you guys real time examples? Because some people come to you and say, hey, I'm going to do SEO for you and I'm going to rank your business on Google. And I'm like, okay. And then months later, they realize that it was a huge scam. It was a huge failure. It was definitely an L, because you thought that your website would just rank overnight for a keyword that has been existing for months and for years. So when you see, oh, your business name is ranking on Google, duh, you're the only one. You're the only one, right? And it's actually good that you're ranking, because now you put yourself on a pedestal. Now you can actually see yourself on Google. But the goal is not to rank your business name on Google. The goal is to rank a name that is not even in your business name as a key phrase that can match up to your link. So if you guys click this link above, you will see the article I'm talking about. I want you guys to do your fact checking. I want you to make sure you do all your research and get there. But for me, I didn't have any article on my website talking about SEO versus CRO. I saw the opportunity, and it's going back to the topic, crawling. I saw the key phrase SEO versus CRO, crawling. And what is SEO? Search engine optimization. What is conversion rate optimization all about? It's about converting people from your website, and when they come to your website, they're able to opt in, they're able to click, conveniently, they're able to see all these things. And there's something called scroll depth. A lot of people have websites, and I think, Kendrick, I want to ask you this question. When people create a homepage, the size of the homepage, the length of the homepage, and the scroll depth of the homepage is hugely determined by what the client wants, right? So when I now think about CRO, in your world, when it comes to design and optimization, especially for websites, what do you see the most? Because I build websites as well. We don't do them as much. We still have someone on our team who does it, but we focus more on post SEO so that we can just focus on the goals and the milestones and the money they're trying to attain with SEO. But in your world, what do you see that happens when it comes to scroll depth within pages?
I have seen some that had requests from me to repair or fix it. I've seen a lot of clutter, and most of the time they have so many videos and things that when you scroll, it depends on your internet power. A lot of the stuff don't load. You see a lot of broken links. You see videos that won't play. It's just really cluttered, and it's not their fault. I mean, a lot of people think that the more you put on, the more moving videos, the more moving GIFs and stuff, it's gonna blow somebody away. But a lot of times, simple is better. When you got simple, you're on your phone, you're on your laptop, you're on your tablet or whatever, you scroll, it's fluent, it moves. And that's the goal that you want to get to. I guess that's what the statement you're trying to make.
Yes. The goal is the mission, and that's really where that consistency comes in for me when I look at it from a holistic standpoint, because a lot of people don't see the essence, and they see the vision, they know what they want, they know how they want it to look, but there's a difference between what they get and what they thought they were gonna get, because the way they receive it is based on your expertise, based on your knowledge, based on how you worked on sites before. It starts off with, what platform am I going to use? WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, Shopify? Where am I going to go? And then it goes into, where do I buy my domain? and then it goes into what the theme is. Like, it's like building a house from scratch, and that's usually the growing pains a lot of entrepreneurs don't. And sorry, a client was calling. And you get to the point where you want to still instill appeal to your audience because they're coming to your site to look for something. Your homepage should be the best place that you can show someone about you. And I don't do this for myself because I used to do it before, but I do it for clients. But I know the value when it comes into web pages, and I do that for my podcast, and you'll see that in my article as well, as far as putting something outside your website into your website that can drive traffic from your website to another website. And I've built that formula really well, and I know the effect and really what it causes long term. Because when people look at an article like this, right, I've spent exactly a month writing this article, and it's a long article. If you guys can see it, when you click on it, you'll see the article. It's about 12 minutes. You have to read this for 12 minutes. And yeah, you may not get everything in this one reading. You may definitely catch everything if you pay attention, like you study it. But my goal was to write it for people and to make sure that when people are searching for these examples, they can see this article. And it took me about 4 or 5 days to get this article in check. And I decided I'm going to do it specifically. I have about 3-4 articles just like this that I've loaded up for the summer, which I'm going to use as a case study to show you how you can rank in a month. And typically it takes 6 to 12 months. Kendrick said it takes about 3 to 6 months. It can take as short as a week. It can be as short as 2 seconds, but that is highly dependent on what we call your domain authority. And what determines your domain authority is your domain presence. That's a big thing. I'm going to say this again. Your domain authority is calculated, it's averaged on your domain presence. In other words, do you show up where people look for information? And if you show up, how consistently do you give value consistently without failing? And that's going to take a lot of boldness for you to come out the box and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say it the way it's going to be said, and I'm going to get people who are going to connect with me. And sometimes some people just don't do it because they don't like to be on video. They're not writers. They have this imposter syndrome, and they miss out on a lot. Imagine if I didn't write this article April 6, 2023. This article would not be in this room right now because it would not be existing. It would not be existing. It would not be there. I mean, there are articles out there about this, but my article, this article, would not be something for you to click on because it wouldn't have been made available. There would be no presence for you to fill because there was no existence in the first place. So when you don't see it, make something out of it. You know how they say when they throw you lemons, make lemonade? Make that lemonade stand. You know, put it out there and say, hey, this is what I have. And watch how people will come and ask you questions. And that's when business begins. When people start to ask you questions. The more questions you get, the more you can be in business. Because the more answers you give, the more solutions you solve. And most times people don't solve solutions because they create problems that don't go away. So I'm going to put it at that and want to welcome you, John, for being here. Good to see you, man. How's it going?
Hey, just jumping on real quick, then off to a soccer game. And yes, everything you're saying is spot on. So yeah, what's up?
Good. You said soccer game. Are you playing? Are you watching?
Oh, I am definitely watching. It's a kids soccer game.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Because I was gonna say, because I play soccer too. I'm a left back, center back.
Sweet.
So and I played yesterday. So, and I usually play during the week. with my friends. So, when you said it, I was like, oh, maybe John plays soccer. I didn't know that.
I played soccer when I was a kid, but actually I was playing a little one-on-one basketball with my daughter, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so out of shape. So too much computer time, less. I need to get out, work out more.
Oh,
Go ahead,
about it.
Kendrick.
I was gonna say, tell me about it, man. I used to be so athletic, and I got into computer repair. Then I got into website building and logos, and now I'm just You
Yeah.
won't catch me on the soccer field anymore.
Yeah. I need to get in shape because the wakeboard park opens here today, and I need to get out there and do some wakeboarding. So, you guys know what a cable park is?
No.
So just go to Google and type in wakeboard cable park. So it's a big cable around the lake instead of a boat. So they have one here locally. It's called West Rock Wake Park. I actually did the website for them, and westrockwakepark.com, and there's a bunch of different features or jumps, if you want to call them. They call them features, like you can jump up on top of them and ride over them. So that opens today. Excited about that. So,
John, I'm looking at the website. I'm loving the website, and now I see exactly what you're about to do because it's amazing to see this. And you see what we just did. We just talked about something that was so out of context, but still brought it back home. And you did it perfectly. Welcome, Nazil. Good to see you. You brought it back so well because we're, talking about how SEO works for your website. How do you rank on Google search? How do you find your content out there? And I gave an example earlier of how, I wrote an article about Clubhouse 2 years ago, and that is still ranking till today because at that time, Clubhouse didn't even have a website. They only had a domain at the time, but it wasn't live. And fast forward, it's still being seen because Clubhouse is still here to stay. So we've talked about, workout. And for me, because you said soccer, I play soccer myself. And I also love playing a few video games with FIFA with my PlayStation 5 and just having a good time and just kicking things, just taking time off. And for me, I love working out, but when I go to play soccer, I do a full body workout. And I love to swim. I taught myself how to swim. So I can do those things too. I just haven't gone back swimming because of the weather and everything, but I'm going to get back into it because I'm excited about, the whole experience. And these are the things I do outside just work, because sometimes when you're so busy managing clients, it gets so stressful that you don't even have time for your own self-care. And that's where a lot of us kind of go wrong when they're thinking about the money without thinking about the relationship and self-care. You know what I mean, John and Kendrick?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you gotta get out. And one thing I like to do is just get out and drive and think about stuff, and then come back, make a list of things I need to do, right? And then prioritize them, and then either hand those off to a VA or one of my team members, and then I just got kind of get really, because there's so many different projects that we could be working on, right? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's always good to get out, get some air. It's a boost to your creativity as well. I like to go out and walk in the park and go to the gym or hit the boxing bag and just release some stress or just let it out. And usually when I get back home, my mind is like recharged.
Yeah, totally. So here's an interesting little deviation from this conversation to win. Talking about SEO, talking about conversion, talking about new ideas. Not a new idea, but I had it's not a new idea, it's just maybe if you're not into it every day. If you have a really slow website, I know this has been around for years and years, but Hold on, guys. I got a phone call. I was just going to say I had a very large client that had a really slow website, and it was like super slow, right? Like really, really slow, and bad, poor web vitals. I put Nitro Pack on it, Nitro Pack, and which is a paid plugin, and it fixed it right away. So these little tips that you can get on these calls or these rooms is so important. Like, I know a lot of people know this stuff, or maybe they have used other plugins, but just these slight little things can help your SEO, can help your conversion, can help your peace of mind. So getting out, walking, exercising, listening to Clubhouse, hiring experts like Kendrick or Favour. Cool, man. Back to you guys.
That's true. And I noticed another thing that I do to get that authority is when I go out in public. Sometimes I go to Panera and I sit at a table and I have a little display at my table. I'm on my laptop working, and people walk by, they ask questions. I give them my card and I let them know to go to Google, to find me. And Google will see that. They'll see that you've been out there really hustling and really working. And that's another good way to gain.
So true. John, you have a question. Shar has a question for you. When is it best to buy a plugin, Nitro versus upgraded your host package for faster speeds?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's all kinds of different hosting out there, and this particular client is moving to a better host. So yes, I definitely would recommend a good host. Here's the answer that is the SEO answer. It depends, right? So it depends on how what your budget is. It depends on the client budget. I would say, just get good hosting all around. If it's like a enterprise client, that's a different story, right? They should have good hosting. This particular client was a very large university, right? So they should have their stuff together, but it's amazing. This is not my client. This is not this is not the organization I'm talking about. But if you go to GT Metrics and type in uc.edu, which is University of Cincinnati, look at their speed score. It's terrible. Okay. And so there's a lot of opportunities out there. So to answer your question, it depends on the organization, right? If you have a small, nimble organization, you can move over to a better hosting faster. You can probably get good, decent hosting. Of course, it depends on what you're running: WordPress or straight HTML, some other off CMS. I am in love, not in love, but I'm really liking the Google CDN. That has helped. So there's all these different little nuances. The reason I went with Nitro is because I didn't have a lot of control over what they're doing. If you don't have a lot of control, it's WordPress. I bought it. It was like $300 and for the year, and I installed it, and it worked. So sorry to be a little bit vague here, but it really depends on the situation. So
that's what I'll definitely say too. And he's asking how long is a piece of string. So there's so much to unpack there. I feel like when you start to get very specific on how you are showing up online, it changes. And sometimes some businesses don't know it, John. And you're so right about it. I just typed in uc.edu and they have an F grade. Like, why would you have an F grade that with such a big name like that? So it goes back to everything that you should start looking out for these opportunities to help people. And the best thing about SEO for me that I like to see most of the time is if their SEO is local based, then they have a much higher way of converting because they have competition, but it's not global, it's not national, it's very local based. And if it's very niche, even better, especially if there's a keyword traffic volume in place. What do you think about that, John?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
When someone wants to do SEO for a local-based business, they tend to get much faster results than someone who is looking for a national or global presence.
Yeah, if you're a small organization versus a larger organization, it really depends. Like a lot of larger organizations have they're not spending their own money versus like a local person, they're spending their own money, so they want to see results right away. They want to get ROI. So there's all those different factors, and that's another reason why to pick your clients appropriately. So, yeah.
It's actually interesting you brought this up because I wanted to, talk a little bit into, the topic and just help people understand what this is, because I wanted to break it down for them. And by the way, as I'm saying this, because I know some people may listen to this outside Clubhouse, I have an SEO 101 marketing newsletter on LinkedIn. And my purpose for that is to drive traffic and show that conversations like this on Clubhouse can be experienced on LinkedIn, which equals Google, of course, because you can put out your content that can end up on Google if you do it correctly. So what I've decided to do is and I'm doing this month to just test it. And I've already done it before, like an alpha test, but right now I'm in the beta test before I really go into full test and then evaluate and start to standardize it. Is the rooms that I have on Clubhouse, I'm going to link them to LinkedIn, the newsletter. And in that newsletter, we have we're over 1,300 people in that membership on LinkedIn. So I'm going to be talking about audio rooms, and I'm going to be putting it out on LinkedIn so that people can, check it out and read. And I always put audio next to it because whenever you put a call to action or some type of trigger, then it allows them to make a better decision. And my question to you, John, is this is an email question, but at the same time, a title SEO meta title question. What do you think? Because I think it's subjective, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. And also for Kendrick too, if he's around. So John.
Favor, I'm sorry. I'm totally distracted. I actually have to run. But I would love to chat about this at another time.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, man. I know you gotta go, but thank you so much for joining. And definitely you can put in the chat or I'll ask you later on, because a lot of people want to know, should I put the audio in the beginning or at the end? Should I put, link in bio in the beginning or the end of your title? That kind of thing. So I just wanted to ask that really quickly before you go.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's a good thing to test. I would say just test it. Yeah. That's definitely, I have no idea. You have to test it out.
Exactly. That's the answer I was looking for. Thank you, John.
And awesome. All right. See you guys. Have a great day.
So the whole point of SEO is testing. If you don't test it, you'll never get the results. You never know what you're looking for. And sometimes if you test it, the one that you thought would not be winning is the one that is actually winning. So that's why it's very important to be focused on how to test your content and how to take that forward. So I'm going to be doing that on LinkedIn. And starting today, there's a topic I talked about here on Clubhouse called SEO Traffic Explosion Secrets. So that's going to be going out as a LinkedIn newsletter today. I've already put everything together and I'm excited to share it with people. Now, I'm going to break this down. We have about 13 minutes before we get to the end of this room. So if you have a question, feel free to let me know in the chat or raise up your hand and I'll bring you up as well. And I see Mark as well. Welcome to the house and also welcome to the room. Feel free to join the marketing club before you leave so you can get that ticket off. Same thing for JS. Thank you so much for being here. And I see you have a question, so I'll wait till the question is fully asked. And in the meantime, I wanted to break this down to you guys on what this is. The SEO crawl, render, index, rank, and click. Now, crawl, when you think about crawl, right? You ask yourself, what is the definition of crawling? Like when you think about a baby crawling or, you're crawling towards something or you're crawling to a certain location, right? You're dragging your feet. You're in this process of discovery. You're trying to find it out. You're being very cautious with your movement, right? Now, everyone that starts with a website starts at a crawl phase. Just like all of us, we're babies, we became toddlers, we became young adults, we become, full-grown adults, and, it keeps going, right? Now, when you think about your website and your house and your links, think about them as like babies, like it just started, like it's crawling. Just like I told you, the link up top here is 1 month old. For example, this link has been on the internet for a month and it's still on Google right now on the first page for specifically this key phrase, because I wanted to be very specific with my goal. So I was crawling a month ago. I didn't have any traffic. I didn't have any clicks. I had no presence online for this specific keyword. And that was a prerequisite for customers to find me, right? Now, it doesn't take up to a year or 2 years for you to see this happen. It should be happening concurrently because I didn't just create this article and just sit down and chill. I had to do some work around it. And of course, that implementation comes in when we now get together and have calls and discussions like this so that you don't also be, wasting time figuring out the same thing and yet we can build it out together in a shorter amount of time. That means there's an implementation going on. The next thing is rendering, right? How do you render your site? Someone right now has just gone into the other room to listen to the SEO versus website development. You see what's going on? So it shows me that you just have to think about crawling. If you think about crawling, people are going to ask questions. People are going to be very inquisitive. But at the same time, it doesn't keep you off target. So you ask yourself, okay, I have a website. It's new. I've probably written articles for years. I've never seen it on Google. What's wrong? What's happening? There's always a solution to every problem. You just got to find it. So when you think about rendering, right? Rendering, when you think about a video, if you're buffering a video, you're rendering a clip or rendering an image, it's that time. It's that seed time and harvest. Even biblically, there's seed time and harvest, right? So that render is the time it takes for your website to be seen by a search engine that can validate your content. Now, it's not every time you post something that's going to go viral, but every time you show up, there's always going to be that conversation that you can have. So that render is the time it takes from crawling to indexing. So crawling, you're crawling from one end of the room to the other end of the room, right? When you're rendering, you are loading time. You're watching time go by. You're using time to get to a certain location. And then when you're indexing, when you think about the word index, right? Think about an inventory. Think about a place where you're putting numbers. Like it's an alphabetical list of names. It's pretty much something that happens at the end. When you're reading a book, you get a glossary, you get an index, you get those kind of appendices. You get those things that allow you to know, oh, this is definitely a little bit different, right? But it's kind of like a register. It's like taking inventory. So when Google is taking inventory of your website, then you are adding value to the list by creating a guide using key words. You guys would have to rewind that to listen to that again. And as you're doing this, you are creating an experience organically. You've not paid any money yet. I didn't run any ads to get this SEO versus CRO ranking on Google. I've not paid any yet. But if I do, then I can easily run an ad to that same article right now and get way more traffic right now because I know that it's an opportunity. And when you start to see an opportunity like this, you take it. So I would run an article for the whole month of May and say, here's the difference between SEO versus CRO. Read this article. And in between that, I'm getting people who are looking for solutions. And I'm getting on calls with people who need solutions. So I'm not here to be like, hey, I need your business, this or that. I'm here to make sure that by the time we're working together, we have a roadmap to work with. I was on a call earlier today with a potential client who we're going to start working in June. He heard me like the way you guys are listening to me on Clubhouse. Never met me before, all the way in California. I'm all the way in Georgia. And we connected and had an amazing call. I pretty much like demystified his SEO audit, and I gave him a breakdown of what we could do together. He gave me some of his competitors. I showed him how we are going to work together, how much his competitors are spending, and what's really attributing to their success. And I broke it all down in 30 minutes, and we're going to start working in June, God willing. So the whole idea, guys, is when you understand what this is, then you know who to pay. Because some people are paying for things they don't know because they trust the person that they're paying who would know these things. But sometimes you get shocked when you realize, what did I pay you for? So this is why I'm breaking it down for you. You know, indexing is very important because you're typically creating an inventory, a directory, a sitemap on how people can find you. So these are the top three: crawling, rendering, and indexing. Once you have these three in check, meaning that your website is connected to where? Your website is connected to your Google Search Console. Because when you have Google Search Console or Bing Webmasters or Yandex or DuckDuckGo, and you're using these search engines, Pinterest and YouTube are included because those are search engines, right? Visually. And you are connecting and claiming your website, even a podcast. When you think about claiming your Apple Podcast, claiming your Spotify, that is search engine based because you are claiming something that you don't own, but you're using something you own to claim a platform you're not in ownership of. But you're definitely part of that ownership because you have a stake in that market. So when you start thinking business, you start to think a little bit differently. So crawling, rendering, and indexing those are the three prerequisites for gaining customers to find you and for allowing customers to find you so that you can click on a link and they'll find you, right? I'll break this down into the next 2 minutes before I go to Mark's question. Rank and click, right? This is how customers find you. You first have to rank before they can click on you. There's no way you can go to a new place without the address to the place, especially if it's the first time going there. So I'm not gonna drive 30 minutes to a location you didn't tell me to go to because I'll be driving everywhere around the city. But if I'm going to this place for the first time, I'm gonna put in my GPS, whether I use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze. I love using Waze. And if you use the map and you go, you're heading to that pinpoint, you're heading to that specific location, right? So if you are ranking, it means that you are being seen. I talked about organic presence. I talked about domain presence. When you are ranking, that means people can see you. Kendrick talked about how if you are within the first top 5 listings on the first page, that is the opportunity for them to see you. And if they see you, that means that they can click on you. They can find your content, right? So if they click on it, that means that they found you relatable. They found your content impressive, right? And then from there, this is now where the clicking ends. Once you click on something to purchase, this is what it sounds like. Because the customer bought it. So if you didn't crawl, right? I'm going to take it back for you guys real quick. If you didn't crawl, if you didn't give it time to render, if you didn't perfect your perfection, you didn't perfect the art you're creating, if you didn't index it, right? If you didn't rank it based on the algorithm standards, and if you're not clicked on, that would have never happened. So the moral of the story here, guys, is when you create content and you want to create cash, or you want to build a passive income strategy for your business, then you have to ask yourself, what can I do to get my business ranking so that when I create content, then this content can be found and they can find something to work with. So wanted to break that down for you. And Mark says, how can you test SEO when it takes up to 6 months to show up on Google? Now, here's the question I want to ask you based on this question. When you're creating content for social media, right? You're creating content for social media consistently. So you're already testing. So when someone says taking up to 6 months to show up on Google, what have you been doing before those 6 months even happened? Did you have a roadmap? Those are the things that it should show you that, okay, in 6 months I can actually rank, because it's actually possible. I have a client, their website is called glowbeautysupply.com. Back in September, they were nowhere to be found on the internet. Right now, they're on the internet because we were able to apply concepts. So the testing didn't come and we said, oh, she has 10 products. Let's try and see if we can rank for 2. No, the goal was, let's rank for the whole website and see what we're getting indexed so that we can figure out what people are looking for so we can rank them for clicks. So that's how we're able to test it. And most times we tell people, when you're spending money, think about it as an investment and not as an expense. Because if it's an expense, you'll be thinking you're wasting money. And true enough, in a year from now, you may not even need to run ads because you've taken that whole real estate position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you have to do it in a way that has to be ethically done, logically done, and feasibly done. So there are ways to rank. And of course, there are ways you can test by amplifying that 6 months into maybe even 1 month crunch and getting some testing done, because the whole essence of testing is to get a result. So if I can test faster, then I can use more time to get what I need. So I hope that helps you, Mark. Thank you so much for that question. Kendrick, are you there? I know that you had a phone call earlier, but it still shows that you have a phone call. So let us know if you're here. Okay, probably still on the phone call. But yeah, Shar, Mo, Mark, and JS, I appreciate you all for being here with me today. I wanted to break this down to you guys to give you some insight on how to connect with me. Make sure that before you leave, for those who are having a ticket, make sure that you follow the marketing club so you don't miss out on rooms like this. And also follow me on LinkedIn. You'll click above, you'll find my LinkedIn there, and connect with me if you want to really, really get into serious business talk. And more importantly, make sure that you stay connected with me so we can work this out together. So I appreciate you. Mark understood some of that. That's fine. Anytime. Sometimes it may not hit the first time, but when it hits, it's going to hit home really well. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you guys. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch up soon. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11, and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those 4, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website www.playinc.online, PLAYINC.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Bye.